I don't think it is a wise thing to share one's private life to the world, especially the things that has to do with his personal life. I wouldn't have come up and start telling this story, but I believe I have to tell this story now. However, the story you will be hearing is a real life story. I experienced it. And that is why I will mention names as the story progresses. But where the story demands that I mention negative ones, which might likely soil some names, I will not call the names of the people it affects. But I will give them a different name perhaps, or I may choose not to even give them name at all. Then the question is, why must I tell this story? How God wedded me with just 5,000 naira. I would like to start with what this Dr. Ebed Amina said in one of his so many messages, that God cannot wed people. And I see people again, apart from him, especially marriage counselors, the way they prepare their discussions for young people today. Many times I pity the young because, truly speaking, my life, you may say it is my experience, but by the time I go through this story, you will no more see it as my experience, but the way God will wish to deal with those who actually committed their lives fully into his hands. And from there I will tell you, God weds people. It's not just only about his selected or chosen people, but his own children, Christians. God weds them. My story will tell this. And I want to tell you that this story will be very long. It will be very long. And wherever you are, if you hear this story, you come across it, and you witnessed any part of them, please be free to comment. Confirm what I'm saying in the comment section. God is the only one who will bless you. I don't think he allowed me to pass through all these experiences just to keep it to myself and my wife, and perhaps with my students, my children, and few other people who are near me. I believe this message I passed through so that at a time like this, it will get back into the world through the social media, so that people will have a double thought. And all this about cheating, all this about cohabiting, all this about, young people doing things and all that will be placed where it should be. And those who are true Christians can find direction, happiness in life. And so I will start by saying, I will not like to make these videos long. In each episode, I put it. When the thing is getting to 10 minutes or so, I will cut it and then continue in the next episode. And therefore, I will invite you, if you are listening to this story for now, and you have not subscribed to my channel, whether in Facebook or YouTube, for you to get the full stage of this line of this story, be fast to click the subscription button below and follow me. If it is in TikTok you are seeing this, kindly please click the button that is up there so that you can get the story as I release them in batches. And so here comes my story. I will start with where I met my wife by the name Onyebure Oluchukwu. Where I met her and how we met, the relationship between us. Please, this story will be detailed. I will not paraphrase them. I will be detailed in many places, but in some places I may likely just be brief. So let us proceed. Oluchi came to us. My wife, she came to us where we live. Actually, I was born and brought up in Kaduna State. Born many years ago. And then I grew up as a quiet young man with a shy spirit. I don't like women. Not that I hated them, but I cannot, for any reason whatsoever, allow women to be near me as a young man growing up. So I was not that kind of shy person. And I never believed that I will ever marry later in life. I didn't. I'm not among those people who ever believed that one day I will marry. I didn't have that in my mind. But I was interacting with everybody, like you can say. Then I found myself in Assemblies of God Church. But my mother church was actually Methodist. For one reason or the other, on which it doesn't concern this discussion, I found myself in Assemblies of God, and I thank God for that experience. I really bless God for finding myself in Assemblies of God Church, very small church, village church, pastored by people you can call illiterates. But I thank God for their lives. I thank God for Reverend, who is now currently Reverend, Osoka Onyike. I thank God for my father-in-law, Reverend Silvanus Carlo. I thank God for the most important one among them, who is now late, and whose story you are going to hear in this discussion. And that is Pastor, who later became a reverend to Sunday and a church of blessed memory, who died preaching on the altar. Fell preaching on the altar and died on the way to hospital. This man loved God. He introduced God to us. An evangelist, Onyike, came and fine-tuned it with his evangelistic lifestyle. I learned many things about him, and by the grace of God, we'll talk about this man later. I thank God for Reverend Silvanus Carlo, who, when he was living as a missionary to Kavacha missionary area, called me and sat me down, gave me his suits and 3 of his ties and prayed for me, saying that God asked him to pray for me. In any case, these people contributed a lot in making me who I am today. And part of the story is what you're going to hear. So when Oluchi came, she came, I think, in 1998, 1999 session as a medical student in one Ekwa School of Health Technology in Kagoro. She loved God. You can see it in her appearance, in her dress. There were other ladies that came along with her, people like Grace. Grace is with her husband. They are living somewhere. I can't even know where they are. The last I checked, I knew she was living in Kafachan with her husband. Then I have Blessing. We have Ifoma and other young ladies who also came, like Planan and the rest. These are God-fearing Felicia, yes, from Cross River. These are great people. So they were men, young ladies that really loved God. And with the kind of spiritual father we have, the person of them, Pastor Sunday Anicho, we are really brushed. So she came out. And she was not the type of person I can say I loved or have feeling. Naturally already, I don't have attraction for women. I avoided them. If I am sitting on a bench, however long it is, and a girl sits on the same bench, I will stand up. That was my nature. The man of God taught us whatever God would teach us according to the messages God gave him. His teachings were all revelational in nature. So he was preparing us, village boys and village girls, in a small town called Kagoro in southern Kaduna State. Alright? That was how we are brought up. To be very candid, my church was a very strong conservative church then. The conservatism is so strong, you can feel it, to such an extent that one of the days we are having sectional fellowship, where several churches gather in our own church to fellowship. Everybody was happy, we were singing and rejoicing, fellowshipping with one another. Sister Felicia came dancingly and joyfully picked 10 naira from my pocket and then gave it as offering, not knowing that Reverend or Pastor Sunday Anicho saw it. He had to call us after service for us to answer to that kind of action. That's for you to know the kind of church I came from. Let's move to the next episode where the drama kicks in.